As I mentioned earlier, December the 27th, I was moved up to be the Brigade S3. We had, about a month before that, attacked and killed the command group of the 2nd NVA Division in the Quezon Valley. Picked up, there were some 16 bodies. We picked up 10 pistols. We picked up pounds of documents. Had it flown down to Saigon, where they were translated and flown back. And it was a division attack plan for the 2nd NVA Division against us, primarily against LZ Ross, the 2nd and the 12th, and also more holding actions against the other battalion LZs in the Quezon Valley. We knew everything about their attack plan except when. We knew their avenues of approach and the whole works. And so in that period of time, we set up flame fugaces in LZ Ross, which was the 2nd and the 12th LZ. We deployed claymores in depth. Their habit was they would make a noise in the brush, the soldier would fire his claymore, and then they'd rush him. So what we did was we had 5, 6, 7 claymores in the wire in depth, and they were set so you could fire the top. You hit that. You fired the first one. Then the survivors got up and came forward, and you hit the second one, and the survivors came up and got forward. You hit the third one, and the survivors got up and ran away. Or if it was a mass attack, you'd fire a couple of claymores, and then you'd fire a flame fugace at them. And with a 55-gallon drum, about 2/3 to 3/4 full of JP4 and soap flakes, makes marvelous napalm. With a 40-pound shape charge at the end of it, it'll send a tongue of flame out about 250 yards, and it will fry them. It is a anti-personnel weapon of great utility and extremely effective. It's a casualty inflictor, and it's a psychological weapon too. We knew how many rounds they were going to fire from their 82 mortars in the first fire. We knew how many rounds they were going to fire from the 122. We had counter-mortar radar surveyed in. We had something called a control fragmentation munition for the artillery, and when they opened fire on January the 3rd, counter radar picked them up when the mortar rounds were on the upward flight, before they even turned and came down. We gave them a Fort Sill shampoo. After the battle, we found each of those mortar positions. They had not been able to fire all the first rounds in the first fire. All the second fire rounds were ready, sitting there on the ground, and the crews were dead around the mortars. Same thing with the 122 rockets. Our defensive targets were fired in. It was a hell of a fight. There were 267 dead NVA in the wire, and right outside the wire of LZ Ross the next morning. The 2nd NVA Division was still out there in the valley. 2nd and the 12th came out, and the other battalions moved in. We got into a very, very heavy fight, and on the 7th, Bob Gregory, the 2nd Battalion, 12th Cavalry CO, Larry Malone, my replacement as S3, and Sergeant Richard Keefe, who was the S2 sergeant, were shot down and killed. And they were missing in action because they were shot down in enemy country. We fought to try to recover the bodies and recover the helicopter, and couldn't do it. It was a nasty fight. Jim Stone, C Company commander, was killed in action. He had one platoon cut off, and that platoon was running short of ammunition, so John Boyer, our brigade command control helicopter pilot, and Ted Dobish, his co-pilot, volunteered to do a kick-out. And they went out to Hill 270, which was, the place where the platoon was roughly between 270 and LZ Ross. So he went up to 270, we had a company up there. He went up to 270 until he could locate the platoon and make sure where they were. And then he rolled out, came down the hill, going fast as he could go, flew right over them, kicked everything out. The rifle ammunition and the grenades got to him. Some of the rest of the stuff didn't, but it was enough to keep him going. And as John went over, he had an open mic, and I heard him say, "I've been hit." Oh, geez, this is what I don't need. We went down, turned all the lights on trucks and so forth to light up the landing pad at LZ Baldy, where the brigade headquarters was. The colonel and I ran down to the strip, and when the helicopter came in, the JP4 was streaming out of the bottom of it like a waterfall from all the bullet holes in it. And they put it down. We had the ambulance there for John, and he climbed out, and no blood on him, no nothing. Everybody got out. They were all alive. I said, "Where were you hit?" And he took off his APH-6 helmet and turned around, and the back of his flak jacket, the bullet had come in between the seat plate and the back plate of his armored seat, had gone up the back of his flak jacket and ripped it open, had gone into his APH-6 helmet, gone around the bulletproofing in there, and was sticking out of the top of the helmet. I said, "You gonna want a new helmet, John?" He said, "No, I'm keeping this helmet the rest of my life." And it's a wonder it didn't break his neck. It really is. I think it had probably ricocheted off the edge of the armored seat and lost a little bit of its force, or it would have really snapped his head when it went over. At any rate, we were able to put it on the 2nd NVA Division, and they withdrew into the hills.